Welcome to Geeky Chickies. My name is Phoenix.
And I'm Jenny.
And we're live, I swear.
I know, sorry. Yeah. I'll take the blame for this.
Well, I mean, it's more the summer. So the reason why we haven't, like I posted on Twitter, or we update on Twitter, we can't really record during the summer because Jenny gets blackouts, and then my house is so old I have to have fans on, so there'd be a lot of noise.
Yeah, I mean,
It's hot.
yeah, it gets really hot. I know in the past I mentioned that I was, planning to make changes and move from my current location, but due to economic forces, it's becoming much harder for me to move somewhere at the moment. So hopefully by next summer I won't be in a place where I have to pick between running the AC or not running the AC.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That'd be nice.
right? Anyway, so since our last recording, what have you been doing?
Try to survive a ghost. That's one of the things I've been doing.
Oh yeah, I remember you mentioning to me
A
about the
few
hauntings.
instances. Yes. Okay, so for people who do not know, I've lived in this house for most of my life, and it's over 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
When I first moved into the house, we would hear like footsteps, and then I I told my mom I was like 5 or 6. My mom was talking about the footsteps. I'm like, oh, it must be the lady who watches me sleep at the end of my bed.
Oh my god.
Exactly. So yeah. And then for a while it stopped, and then all of a sudden in like early August,
Mm-hmm.
my brother and I are downstairs. I'm on my laptop working on something in the dining room. My
Mm-hmm.
brother's watching TV in the living room, and my dad is outside. My youngest brother. My other brother's not here, and my dad's outside. My mom's upstairs with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
I just hear the dog barking, and all of a sudden I hear my mom yelling at my brother. So eventually I go upstairs. I'm like, what are you yelling about?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, tell your brother to knock it the fuck off. I'm like, what are you talking about? So she explains that, like, she and the dog were hearing this, like, tapping sound.
Mm-hmm.
My brother does this thing where he doesn't knock, he, like, drums his fingers against the door
Mm-hmm.
instead of knocking like a normal person.
Mm-hmm.
And, speaking of the dog, I'm gonna say this right now. If there's weird cuttings, it's because I have to go deal with the dog. My parents are out of town, and for some reason, the dog's been upset all day. I'm
Oh,
not too sure why.
maybe because your parents are out?
Well, no, they've been gone for 2 days, and he's been pretty good. Just for some reason today, he's been barking a lot.
I don't know, man. Maybe he sensed the ghosties.
That don't make jokes, because this probably is what's going on. Anyway, so my mom was like, your brother's tapping on my door. I'm like, no, he's not. He's been downstairs with me this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, then it's your dad. I'm like, no, he hasn't come in yet.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently the ghost was just messing with my mom and the dog,
Mm-hmm.
making them all upset.
Mm-hmm.
And I joke. Of course, the first thing I joke was, maybe it's a serial killer. My mom's like, don't even. I had to assure her, like, no, I didn't see anyone go upstairs. I've been sitting where I could see the staircase this whole time.
Okay.
So that's the first instance.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, I think it's the second one. Hang on. Now I gotta look at, like, when I messaged you about this.
Let me see. I don't remember.
The book incident. That was next.
It had to have been maybe a couple weeks ago, I think.
It was definitely still in August. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, while I try to look this up, I've been, for people who don't know, I've been going into like a reading frenzy lately.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I've had like a huge stack of books on the side of my on my nightstand. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty tall. But I had them stacked in a way where they shouldn't fall over unless you push them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting there and I'm I'm not reading. I'm like, I don't know what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I hear all my books are suddenly on the ground. Even the one that's on top of the bottom of the stack, which was on the wood of the nightstand. So shouldn't it be, like I said, wouldn't come off unless the books were pushed off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the next thing.
Okay.
That's when I told the others I told Age's group chat, I'm like, the ghost decided to knock over my books, which was uncalled for. Oh no, I think in between the knocking incident and the book incident, I was laying in bed and all of a sudden I hear someone call my name outside my door, and it's so clear. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not half asleep. I'm laying there because I'm trying to go back to sleep.
Okay.
And I lay there for a while. I finally decided, okay, fine, I'll go see what my mom wants. I get up and no one's out there, but I definitely didn't hear anyone go upstairs because my house is so old. You can hear people going up and down the stairs
Mm-hmm.
because the stairs creak so much.
Okay.
And so I go upstairs. I told my mom, "What did you need?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "You were calling me outside my door." And she's like, "No, I wasn't. I was up here the whole time."
Yeah, I remembered that one. Like that one that you told me about. I barely sorry, I was like scrolling up as you were talking about the book incident. I was like, "Wait, was it I don't remember that one really well." I remember that one. The one you told me about where yeah, the one between or the one before the books.
Yeah, so that was between the knocking and the books.
Yeah, I was just like, "Oh, that's a little." I was like, "Oh dear, that's pretty scary."
Yeah, so that one was like, I know when it's my imagination versus or me just hearing things versus clearly someone was trying to get my attention. And this was one of those cases where someone was clearly trying to get my attention. And it was so clear. It sounded like it was through the door. It sounded like it wasn't. It was so clear. It was so scary. I was.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing about it is that they dead named me. I was like, how fucking dare you?
Ugh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I was like, great. And the only people who do that is my family because they're still not used to the name.
Your new name?
My preferred name, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, are they at least trying to get used to it? And
I don't know.
okay,
That's like a whole thing that I need to get
sorted or whatever.
Oh, and then 2 weeks ago,
Uh-huh.
I was home alone with the dog,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden we hear this clunk
Mm-hmm.
coming from upstairs, like something heavy drops.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm not going upstairs to look. My knee is in pain. I cannot I cannot run if it's a serial killer, so I'd rather just stay down here.
Mm-hmm.
Never figured out what that was.
Mm-hmm.
And then today, so we know who this ghost is. It's a family friend who passed away.
Oh.
So what he does is that in my mom's room, there's this light that looks like the moon.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't and when you turn it on, it comes up as a white light, a clear white light.
Uh-huh.
However, for some reason, Kevin, the family friend,
Mm-hmm.
can turn it on to red. So I wake up at 6 a.m. to go to the bathroom and I look up, I'm like, Kevin, why? It was on red, and then I go back to sleep. I wake up around 7 because my dog needed to go to the bathroom. And I look over and the light's off. I'm like, at least you're polite enough to turn off the damn fucking lights.
Okay. That's pretty cool. As far as I know, I don't live in a haunted place. So I don't have those worries for the most part. Mostly it's just like fireworks.
Yeah. And then I have a lot of scratches on my leg, and I don't know if that's from me scratching my leg in the night or if it's from the ghosts.
My logic wants to go say it's just maybe you're scratching yourself at night.
Yeah.
And
And
not
that's my logic. That's what my logic usually goes to too. That's why I said I don't know if it's me or if it's the ghost.
yeah. I like yeah. I don't want to think if it I don't want to say it's ghosts just because like if it's ghosts, oh god.
And like they've been healing since I've trimmed down my toenails just to be on the safe side, or like even them out.
Mhm.
So maybe it was just me scratching myself.
Mhm.
And that's the other thing. It's like I try to look at the logical things behind a lot of these things
Mhm.
before I say ghosts,
Mhm.
which is why a lot of people actually do believe me when I say I think it's a ghost. It's because I'm like, I've ruled out this, this, and this.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Okay. I do believe you when you say it's ghosts though, so for the record.
Yay. So, other than that, that was like the main big thing during the summer is the ghosts.
Mhm.
Lately I've been just getting back into some anime. Besides reading, I've been getting back into some animes. I've been I had to look up hang on, he is whining, so I'm gonna let him out and see if he decides to be good.
Okay. I guess while we're waiting, I will talk about what I've done. Let's see. What I've done since the last recording is I um was it took a break from school due to issues. Then I also started picking up sewing again. I'm
Oh,
hoping
that's nice. I'm back.
welcome back. I decided during the little gap I was gonna fill in the audience what I was doing or what I've
Okay.
done. So I was like, oh yeah, so I started sewing again. Like I'm hoping to post some projects soon on Instagram, but we'll see. And then what else? Oh, I I started streaming again, just like a little bit. I just been preoccupied like the last couple, like for the last week, because I was prepping for like job interviews and stuff.
Oh yeah, I had COVID. That made me think of it.
Okay.
I also had COVID over the summer.
Oh god, I'm so sorry.
I was not that bad.
Okay.
But continue what you were saying, and I'll get back to
And then
all that later.
okay, and then I turned 33, so that was fun.
I'm about to be 30, so
Yeah,
yeah, I'm about to be with you.
yeah, I turned 33 like a couple like last week
30,
actually.
30.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I guess I'm just like woo, okay. And then also planning a trip to Portland Retro Gaming Expo, which is as of this recording in about like 2 weeks, I think.
Jeez, it feels like it should be longer away.
Yeah, well, I'm basing it off of my flight
Mm.
thing because it's on October 14th, but I do leave a little. I'm going to be in Portland a little bit earlier than that.
Okay.
So that's why I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm leaving on the 13th of October. So
Okay.
yeah. Let's see. But yeah,
I
that's
just
sweet.
looked over my drink. I'm a mess.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, that's basically it. That's all I got for now.
Okay.
Anyways,
So
continue.
what I was saying, before I decided to get up because I could hear him whining behind me. He's been doing pretty good. He barked a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll see how it goes. Who knows? You guys might get the song of his people. um So I started getting back into anime. Other than reading, I started getting back into anime, and mostly I was wanting to watch anime that takes place in the mid-century, or in the 20th century, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly, I kind of wanted to try to watch anime that took place in the mid 20th century,
Mm-hmm.
but that's kind of hard to find. So I've been just kind of doing whatever I can.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was looking up like recommendations, I suddenly remembered the anime I love, which is called Bakano.
Mm-hmm.
And fun fact, I used to pronounce it the Japanese way, which would have been Bakano.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's supposed to be an Italian word, I have to say it bacano.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say exactly like that because that's how it's pronounced when you look up the word.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I can only say it like how they pronounce it. It's like bacano.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so this is originally was a light novel series. I think it's still going.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But basically, it's a little confusing for some people because it tells 3 different stories at once. It all takes place in 1930s, early 1930s, mostly I think in New York. It's either Chicago or New York.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the stories takes place on a train called the Flying Pussyfoot,
Mm-hmm.
where they're trying to stop this rampage killer
Mm-hmm.
on the Flying Pussyfoot. Now I have to look this up. Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's mostly based around like a gang group,
Mm-hmm.
and I just want to know if they're in either the Flying Pussyfoot is okay. So it takes place in New York for the most part, except for the Flying Pussyfoot,
Mm-hmm.
which originally started in Chicago, and then it was destined to stop in New York City.
Mm.
And it's about a group of people who become immortals.
Hmm.
And it tells 3 different stories. It first tells how a group of mafioso
Mm-hmm.
became what's the word I'm looking for? My brain.
Mm.
When they became immortals.
Mm-hmm.
And then it tells the story of when, and then the other story is, like I said, the Flying Pussyfoot, which is a disaster that happened on the train that was a hijacking.
Mm-hmm.
And then I forget what the third story is. I think it's about a sister trying to find her brother. Let me look. It's a really good. It's really good. Like, it has really good characters, and everyone I know says watch the dub, don't watch it sub,
Okay.
because it. You know how when we were talking about Persona 5, I said play the dub version because
Mm-hmm.
the voice actors sound actually scarier when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to the villains.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of the same thing where their voices match up better in the English dub than it does in the Japanese sub.
Oh, okay. Huh.
The other thing I've been watching is Assassination Classroom, which our friend Lucan has recommended. I watched a little bit of it, but then I stopped for a while, and now it's back on Crunchyroll, so I'm like, well, I'm going to rewatch this. So
Okay.
I've gone to the part where I've stopped watching, so I just gotta continue. I would probably do that tonight after I play some Persona.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that anime is about this creature, the tentacle monster creature. That sounds really bad because it's a Japanese anime, but stick with me.
Mm-hmm.
He blows up half of the moon
Mm-hmm.
and is forced the government basically to have him teach this group of third-year middle schoolers who are in what is called the end of the line class, and basically these are the troublemakers, quote unquote.
Mm.
So he is, and then because of that, he said, "I'm going to blow up the airfield at the end of at the beginning of the next school year." So now these kids are forced to become the assassins to try to kill their teacher.
Huh. Okay.
And so so when I first heard about this anime, I did not want to watch it because I was like, why would I want to watch an anime about these kids who are in an assassination school?
Mm-hmm.
And I was totally wrong. These are like ordinary kids who didn't sign up for this,
Mm-hmm.
but had to do it because the fate of the world depends on these 14, 15-year-old children.
Mm. Okay. Huh. That actually sounds pretty neat. Not exactly my cup of tea, maybe, but I'll probably give it a shot.
It's a good anime. It's very funny. Like, there's like the teacher's hilarious because he like, one of the things he does, there's this other teacher who the students call Professor Bitch
Mm-hmm.
because she's kind of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And so the two are the technical teacher and bitch teacher are arguing, and he says something very loud. So let's say he says like, "Well, I'm the better teacher, bitch." Literally does that. Like screams basically the insult and then says "bitch" under his breath. Bitch. It's so funny. I love him.
Yeah.
And then like the students are pretty like are pretty cool. Like they're not all brats, or if they are brats, they develop into better people.
Okay. Huh. That sounds. I'm like trying to look it up right now, but I'll probably wait till afterwards so I'm not like super distracted.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Hang on
Yeah.
1 second.
Yeah. I mean, you could always send me the link, like the
Yeah.
link to me.
Yeah, I'll send that to you.
Okay.
Really quick.
Yeah, no worries.
And then when it comes to Bacano, see, this is I'm so used to calling it Bacano that I forget that it's Bacano still. Anyway, with Bacano, you're gonna have to like find that illegally, unfortunately.
Oh, well.
Nobody's streaming it anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, I probably, my official stance is I can't do that, but yeah, I'll leave it at that.
All right, I'm gonna send you the link to Assassination Classroom at least. And as soon as there's a legal way to watch it, I will let you know.
Okay. Yeah, that I think that would be for the best for me.
Oh, and then one more thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get through this quickly, but then I remembered fucking HBO Max and their fucking cartoon takedowns. I am so pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
Infinity Train was so good. Like, that's an episode I want us to go on. And there's no way to stream it unless you buy it from, like, YouTube or, what's that place called? The Apple. That's what it's called. Apple.
Okay.
iTunes.
Oh god. Yeah, it's all because of that Discovery. Oh god, that stupid Discovery Warner merger, and we'll probably talk about that for another time because, like, oh god,
we're saving money. We've lost over $1 billion. I think $2 billion is what was it? It was insane. That's all I remember.
All I remember is Warner Brother or the Warner Company was in debt, and then or has been in debt, and then the merger happened, and then like. Yeah, I'm not I am no ways, a pro in finances or anything like that. So if you're looking specifically, for information on that, this is the worst place to go because we are not pros or so find us another source about in regards to that topic.
Oh, and then I'll send you once you watch the first season of Infinity Train, I'm going to send you a video.
Okay.
I found a new creator who is very much like me, and I'm actually going to follow kind of his format of how he does reviews. Not to a T, of course, but doing my own flair with it.
Okay.
Because we just have similar personalities, and he's called Sarcastic Chorus. So obviously we're very much alike. And the reason why I suggested, or I could send this video is because he is basically me, only male, and maybe a little more cruel about some of his comments, but he ain't wrong.
Okay, I mean, you should probably send me the link anyway, and then we could link them in the in the description below, so other people can check them out.
Just so you know, this has spoilers and spoilers and spoilers for season 1 of Infinity Train, but it's funny. My boyfriend was dying laughing.
Honestly,
when he watched it.
Honestly, like when it comes to spoilers on stuff, it's like I'm not gonna lie, for me, I don't care. If I really want to watch it, I'll watch it. And that's like 95% of my stuff. Like I already know what may or may not happen, and it's mainly because, like, unfortunately for me, like in the past, I think I did mention it in the podcast when we briefly mentioned about movies, at some point. Like, I can't really sit still when I'm like consuming like media. I have to move around.
ADHD.
So I kind of like I guess I might have ADHD, but I can't say for sure because I actually have to get diagnosed. But like, it's just one of those things where I I have to keep busy. So like, that's why I'll constantly place the same thing in the background and while I'm working on stuff. And
Mm.
so for like movies or animes and stuff where I know for sure I have to like sit and watch, like I I sometimes like I will look it up ahead so I could be able to keep up because yeah, it's because my memory and isn't the most fantastic, and like I said, I kind of just like have to keep like I can't keep I can't really keep still, so yeah.
Oh,
Anyways.
speaking of you not being able to focus on things, freaking Persona 5 is coming to the Switch and PC.
Oh yeah, I like heard that on the direct, right?
Yes, and then I bugged you about it for like 2 months. For like a month.
Yeah, like I was like, oh okay, that's cool. Like,
Speaking of the direct.
uh, uh,
Freaking sorry.
what's up?
Freaking Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life. Remember when we did the Harvest Moon episode, I mentioned my first husband was in that game.
Oh yeah, like once it comes out, I'm definitely gonna try it out on the Switch. Just mainly because I've never played that one.
Yeah, it's really good. It looks like they're really
Like the art or whatever.
it's not that different. It looks like it's not gonna be too different. Except for some of the male characters. My God, I'm gonna send you stuff when we're done with this.
Okay.
Because you're gonna be like, wait, what? For people who are who want to know what I'm talking about, I'll find a video. If there is any that talks about the difference between the old designs and versus the new designs.
Okay. Anyways, before we get derailed, we actually do have a topic that
Again.
that we have to talk about, or that we decided to talk about. And the category, or the topic is, I should say, like retellings.
And what we mean by retellings, that's like fairy tale retellings. And the reason why we are doing this is because I mentioned how many freaking Pinocchio movies are coming out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Pinocchio is coming in the public domain now. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's so much stuff coming out for Pinocchio this year.
Okay, I mean, I didn't realize it was that old, to be honest. So, and I mean, I think it's good. Like, but before I get into that, because that's actually related to a topic or one of the questions, can you tell me like what the difference is between retellings and stories? Because like, or like stories inspired by the original text. I'm sorry, because like,
No, it's okay.
like because when I saw that question, I actually wasn't really sure how to answer that to me, because like
You're not a fairy tale aficionado like I am.
well, it's not even just that. It's just more like it's like, how can I put it? I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm trying to find like the precise like definition, and maybe it's just more like it's not exactly as precise. You know, if you understand what I mean. It's just like there's like more like gray area, I guess, if you can say. There's like yeah, like there's no like
So what I consider a retelling is the story is following basically the same beats of the original story. The original story of Snow White is black hair, white skin, red lipped girl is being told or is being pursued by her stepmother and who is trying to kill her because she is the most beautiful person in the land. She meets 7 dwarfs She
Mhm.
lives with them, and then she gets poisoned by an apple, and true love's kiss, quote unquote, saves her. So
Mhm.
that's the same story beats of Snow White.
Mhm.
But if it goes off rails
Mhm.
completely, but it still keeps a lot of the same aspects, like a good example would be Once Upon a Time.
Mhm.
Totally goes off the rails with the original story, but it doesn't follow the same kind of beats as the original story.
Mhm.
That's inspired by the original story.
Mhm.
Another good example is I'm reading this book called The Curse of the Wolf King,
Mhm.
which is an inspired story of Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
And this is totally different from Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast's original story and the Disney version, which is what a lot of people know, is
Mhm.
father tries to steal something
Mhm.
from what he thinks is an abandoned castle. Beast captures him. Beast either locks up the father or has the father bring him one of his daughters,
Mhm.
and daughter takes father's place.
Mm.
Those are kind of those are the story beats versus in this story, girl hates her father,
Mhm.
goes off on her own to try to find a job, gets captured, is not actually a prisoner, but she is staying there to try to get herself free from her current situation at home.
Mm. Okay.
So that's more inspired by the story of
Okay.
Beauty and the Beast versus being a retelling of the same story.
Mm. Okay. Huh. All right. Okay. That. Okay. Now that makes a bit more sense to me. Like I now I feel like I understand a bit better what you meant by that.
Yeah, so basically it's just a lot of like
Mhm.
there's a lot of stories where it's like literally a lot of things we watch, a lot of media we consume, I should say, of fairy tales
Mhm.
is just retellings of the same story.
Mm.
There's rarely a I mean, lately there's been more of an attempt to do inspired
Mhm.
by the story, like Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland's a good example
Mhm.
because it doesn't follow the same story beats as
Mhm.
Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
Mm. Okay. So what are your thoughts about retellings? Because was it? I have my own thoughts, but I'm just curious about yours, especially
I
since you pointed out
Go ahead.
Pinocchio. Like
So many different versions.
yeah.
Which I'm actually really excited about the Netflix one because
Mhm.
it's Del Toro
Mhm.
and he makes such interesting pieces of media. So,
Mhm.
but that's not the point. I wish they would not be retelling only Grimm's fairy tales so often
Mhm.
because if we had more
Mhm.
variety, it would give more people a chance to know what other cultures grew up with. Like,
Mhm.
a good example is while this is not a fairy tale, it uses a lot of your lore, your culture's lore, Tresse,
Mhm.
which we'll talk about eventually.
Mhm.
Um, but I didn't know a lot about these creatures until I started watching Tresse and got kind of further confirmation from my Filipino friend
Mhm.
who lives in the Philippines.
Mhm.
So I just feel like, and then freaking don't retell Snow White anymore. I'm begging people.
Mm.
Do you know how many retellings of Snow White there are?
Honestly, no.
I
Like,
think like 100. Let me look.
okay. Um. So while you're looking, I guess I'll explain my
Yeah.
position on it. I mean, honestly, I'm just fine with it. Like, I know some people will like get upset, if like something they really like a story they really like, in their childhood gets retold again in like the current time or whatever. But like honestly, it's bound to happen at some point and like for me, I I feel like the media that I grew up with, you know, that like told that story or whatever is always going to be there.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, it's just another generation's thing. And I mean, like, I guess I just look at the more positive sides because, like, you know, like, you can eventually find out you or like when you like for me, like, I'll if I like a movie or something and I want to know, or like a story, I like actually try to look for more information on the internet, and then like I end up finding out it's like, oh, like a retelling of an older story. So then like I go through the rabbit hole of like
Yeah.
finding out more of the history of, like, the story. So, like I feel like, like these retellings, it'll spark that in people, and they'll eventually find, you know, the original story, and then like have interest in it. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, how many Snow White retellings are
So
there?
on Wikipedia, it's only lists about 32.
32.
But this is just movies because
Oh.
I know there's a lot of books that are based off it as well,
Mm-hmm.
and TV shows.
Okay.
So this doesn't give us everything, but 32 movies.
Okay. Ooh, jeez. I did not realize it's that many. How old is Snow White? The story of Snow White. Like,
Um, it was originally a verbal telling
mm-hmm.
of a German fairy tale in the 19th century,
Oh, okay.
which is another thing. It's like a lot of these stories are verbal retellings of the same story. Just
Mm-hmm.
depending on who's telling it, they'll have a different twist to it.
Okay.
Like there's a whole history
Mm-hmm.
of the different versions of Little Red Riding Hood. Like it's a fascinating
Okay.
um thing to look up if you're interested in that kind of stuff. Hi, Bowie.
Oh. Oh.
Well,
Is it what's up?
I was just I was just telling Bowie we're gonna go up as soon as we're done with this. I promise.
Oh, is he being like, no?
No, he's being good. He's hanging out by my feet, but he's looking at me like, "Is it bedtime yet?"
Aw. Don't worry, it'll be bedtime soon.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, what do you have any like favorite original fairy tale or like classic children's stories by chance?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot. I recently reread The Wizard of Oz,
Uh-huh.
and I forget how dark that is sometimes.
Mm.
But it was really good. Like, I highly recommend it if you like reading original texts.
Mm-hmm.
On Amazon, there is
Mm-hmm.
a edition that has the original text and the original art,
Mm.
and it's only like $10.
Mm. Okay.
And
Let's.
I think Wizard of Oz just recently came into the public domain as well. That's why they're reprinting these.
Oh, okay. I actually need to read The Wizard of Oz, the original, because I heard it's like more like interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll definitely check out Wizard of Oz. So I can't really say it's my favorite because I don't really, I haven't read it yet. But
And then another oh,
Hmm?
sorry.
Oh,
One
what were you
more.
gonna say?
I was gonna say one more major one that's been a big part of my life. Like you asked, people in high school knew me as the girl who loved this. It was Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, or just Alice in Wonderland.
Ooh.
Like that was always my favorite. I had a
Mm-hmm.
sweater that had like the 1950s Disney Alice in Wonderland on it. I had a bunch of jewelry that was
Mm-hmm.
Alice in Wonderland theme. I had like old fashioned keys.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just kind of my jam.
Okay. Let's see. For me, I liked was it I guess my favorites I want to say is like Beauty and the Beast, but the
hmm
but the one the one like the French one. Like, cuz I guess
The
there's,
original French.
yeah, there, but actually what's fascinating while I was doing research on it, cuz I wanted to make sure I had the right variant or version that I liked.
Uh huh.
Apparently, like there was like a study or analysis, I'm sorry, they like said that um like it could have been like really old, like even further back, because like the French one I liked was, I believe in this, was it
There's 1741.
yeah, the 1741. That was the one, like, you know, the the original, but then like apparently goes even further back, possibly. Like,
I actually saw a documentary where they were talking about how Beauty and the Beast might have been based off of a real person who had the Beast was based after a person who had
uh-huh.
that genetic disorder that makes you all hairy everywhere.
Oh, okay. Huh. Curiouser and curiouser. And then Cinderella, or it's known as
Which version?
the glass slipper. Or, well, the version that I recall finding interesting, or I guess my favorite, is the Brothers Grimm version.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the version. That's not the version people know. That's actually that one's a lot darker.
Yes.
The version people know is the French version,
Yeah.
which I forget what it's called. I'm gonna look that up now. But that's the version that is more resemble to the 1950 whatever the Disney version of Cinderella.
Yeah, I actually learned about the Brothers Grimm version in 7th grade at my English class. It was interesting because it was in my textbook, and I don't know, like one day I just flipped through it and I saw it and I read it. I was like, oh my god. Okay, this is interesting.
Okay, it's been a while. Remind me, the Brothers Grimm version is the one where they Bowie, no, that they peck out the sister's eyes, right?
Yes, and
that's right. Okay,
and they try to get their feet to fit in the shoe by
they cut it off.
Yeah, by like not so great means.
Not so great means.
Well, yeah. So I do recommend it, but it can't, like, it is dark, and yeah. So, and also
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, if you do read that version and you're interested in like other versions, or like, you know, like those types of fairy tales, there's actually like a collection of them by the Brothers Grimm. So
Brothers Grimm is the one of my favorite like group like fairy tale books I read.
Yeah.
I have like 3 different versions.
Yeah.
2 of them are digital.
Oh, okay.
And then I also have Hans Christian Andersen's collection of fairy tales.
Okay.
Oh, and another one. This one's not my favorite, but it's one that I always think of because of how horrible it is. Have you ever read the original text of Sleeping Beauty?
Yes.
Goddamn.
Yeah. I'm just
so like Disney's Sleeping Beauty follows half of the original beats, so it's kind of a retelling. Kind of. This one, the Sleeping Beauty, Disney's Sleeping Beauty, is in a gray area because it's half retelling, half inspired. Because they do a lot of the same beats, but they stop at instead of the king, sexual misconduct. Let's just say that, because YouTube is being very strict about this kind of stuff. Instead of that happening, it just goes to True Love's Kiss, like Waking Up Sleeping Beauty. So yeah.
Okay, let's see. What?
This is why I can't. This is why I shouldn't be a folklorist. I said this is why I should be a folklorist, because I will go on a huge rant about this.
Oh no, I mean, it's completely fine. I'm more or less just like, oh man, I kind of wish I had I knew a lot more like about this, because it's actually really fascinating. Because when it comes to like folklore and stuff, I try to look. I'm actually interested in like its roots and like
Yeah.
how it gets started. And to me, I'm just like, oh man, holy shit! I wish I knew that. I wish I knew that kind of information. That's pretty sweet. um, let's see. But maybe we'll do like a podcast another time, like, or I don't know, like I'll ask you like questions about certain fairy tales, and then you can tell me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to do my research before then to be ready. But yes, we should do that. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Um.
Okay.
Okay, since I've been answering the questions first, let's start with you for this one. What do you have any favorite retellings or inspired stories?
Okay. Let's see. I do have a couple.
Mhm.
One like I was just let's see. I'm just trying to remember one in particular. So there's a manga series called Alice in the Country of Hearts, which
I know Kunio Alice. That's one of the ones on my list too.
yeah, I actually really like it. I know there's like been other stuff like there's like games and I think anime, but I only remember the manga, like, or that's the one I've read. Like,
Well, that's the only one that's been translated to English.
yeah. And then let's see. Also, Disney's animated Mulan. Like, I
Yeah.
remember watching that as a kid, and it's my favorite because like for me, like growing up, a lot of like the animations and stuff, like it's I didn't really see Asians in media, and seeing Mulan kicking ass and being Chinese, like yeah, I'm not Chinese, I'm Filipino, but I'm just like, oh, that's a start. That's
That's the closest
great.
I can get to right now.
That's great. And and then finding
Yeah.
out it's based off of like a story, from a long time ago. I'm like, oh, okay, that's actually pretty cool. Yeah, obviously the story is a little bit different, but I'm just
Mhm.
like, yeah, it's fine. I really like it. And then let's see. I don't know if you remember it, but there was
Shoot.
um like a Disney's Cinderella, but it was in 1997. It was like it was like Rogers and Hammerstein musical with
Oh yeah, with
Brandy, Whitney Houston. Yeah.
Whitney Houston. That's who I'm thinking of. Yes, I do remember that. That's my favorite version, or that's my. I wish they had the
Uh-huh.
songs for that available.
Yeah, that one was actually like my favorite like version of Cinderella, cuz I just thought it was really cool. And like I was just like, "Oh, well, I like Brandy. He sings really well." And and yeah, I was like, I thought the story was pretty cool. Or, obviously it's just like, the same formula, but still.
Mhm.
But yeah, those one I want to say those ones are like my favorite retellings. What about you?
So my absolute favorite is the example I put on the thing
Mhm.
is back in like the
Mhm.
early.
Mhm.
Hang on, I'm thinking.
No worries.
I'm actually gonna pull it up. It was like I think the mid 2000s. Let me look up exactly. I
Mhm.
could be wrong. There was the Sci-Fi Channel had a mini series late 2000s. So it was 2007. This came out,
Mhm.
and they had a mini series called Tin Man, and this
Mhm.
is based off the Wizard of Oz,
Mhm.
and it is more inspired than it is
Mhm.
a retelling.
Mhm.
Because like the OZ, they call it the OZ instead of Oz, which
Mhm.
means the Hour Zone.
Mhm.
The Scarecrow is played by, so it stars Zoe. What? How do you pronounce her name?
Mm.
Deschanel.
I'm like probably the worst person to ask how to pronounce anything. So I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So if anyone's seen New Girl, the girl who stars in that,
Oh,
Emily Cumming.
let's see. I think Deschanel is how you
Yeah,
pronounce
that
it.
sounds right. That's
Yeah.
Chanel. That sounds right.
Okay, sorry. I was like trying to spell it in my head. I was like, oh my god. And then, when you gave me a reference, I was like, oh, I think it's this.
Okay.
Sorry.
So no, it's okay.
Mhm.
So it was Zoe Deschanel,
Mhm.
Alan Cumming, who plays the Tin Man,
Mhm.
Neil Donnell. I
Mhm.
don't know how to pronounce that. Who is let's see what he's best known for.
Mhm.
But he plays the Tin Man, and then the third guy, I have no idea who this person is, but he
Mhm.
plays the. Wait a minute, what does he play? Hang on, now I'm questioning.
It's okay. I had to look up for a second to make sure there was an actual Cinderella, like with Brandy in it. So I was like,
Okay, so I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's
Mhm.
Raul
Mhm.
Trujillo, and he plays the Cowardly Lion. It's definitely Spanish, and I don't know Spanish to save my life.
Mm.
And I don't recognize anything he is in. He was
Mhm.
apparently in the 2016 MacGyver.
Mhm.
That's the only thing I know. And the guy who plays the Tin Man, I've seen him in things.
Mhm.
Okay, so he was an Arrow. He
Mhm.
was Damien Dark
Mhm.
Drac. Um oh, in the like DC TV universe. So that's what he's most known for. Is that
Okay.
and someone named Dum Dum Dagon in the Marvel universe.
Okay.
So this is a sci-fi version of The Wizard of Oz, and it was really like this was my favorite retelling inspired story
Mhm.
um of The Wizard of Oz. And they did one for Peter Pan, which I don't remember at all.
Mhm.
And then they did another one for Alice in Wonderland, which I thought was good,
Mhm.
but I can see why people didn't enjoy it.
Mm.
So it's the mini series. It's really good. I highly recommend it if you figure out where to watch it. I have it on DVD.
Okay. Maybe I'll do some research and then probably link it to people if they can find it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then like we talked about Heart No Who Alice. That one was one of my favorites. And then there's a Peter Pan one that I like. Now I gotta look it up.
Mm.
Because I was rattling my brain trying to think of like retellings I liked.
Mhm.
When I was younger I liked the Hook was
Mm.
that was the one I was thinking of. Like as soon as I brought it up, I was like, oh, it's Hook,
Okay.
which has Robin Williams as Peter Pan. If
Mhm.
no one has seen it, and I love it.
Mm. Yuki.
It's one of my childhood favorites.
Not gonna lie, when I was thinking retelling, for some reason I glazed over Hook, because I actually really liked it, but I guess
I guess it's more of an inspired than retelling.
yeah, but still, like I was just like, oh yeah,
That's a thing.
no, well yeah, but it's like, oh yeah, like yeah, I would consider it, a retelling. It's just in another perspective.
And
Uh.
then one of the ones I did not like, and I didn't see it because they. So when you use the rights to Peter Pan, what you're supposed to do is donate money to a hospital that's associated with the book series.
Mhm.
This one version, I think it's the 2015. Yeah, 2015 Pan. Not only was it terrible, apparently, they
Mhm.
also didn't as far as I remember, they didn't donate to the hospital,
Oh,
and
that's
they whitewash Tiger Lily.
ooh no.
Yeah, they used a white actress.
Oh gosh. No.
And I don't blame the actors, I blame the people who cast her.
I know. I know. I'm just like, oh god. I if you can't tell where my stance is, yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to like the inspired. It's not a retelling; it's an inspired story. It's totally inspired. Pocahontas,
uh-huh.
Disney's Pocahontas.
Uh-huh.
Used to love that as a kid. Now that I'm older, I know the truth. It's like,
I know. I know.
I have to think of it as pure fiction to enjoy it nowadays.
Well, yeah, and also like, I uh, I feel like I mean I get why Disney would do that to stories, put their Disney magic and not like and gloss over like I don't know the really bad stuff with these kinds of stories because their target audience is kids.
Yeah,
But like I feel like it's one of those things where it's just like I don't know. I know I guess to me it's just like there's just like maybe certain things you shouldn't really Disneyfy, I guess. But then also it's like don't use Disney as your main source of information when it comes to like certain stuff, I guess.
I
It
think they should avoid using, which they have for the most part, using historical
yeah.
figures as fairy tales.
Yeah, because like honestly, growing up, I originally thought Pocahontas was like some like folklore or fairy tale. It was until like I like decided to look it up. I think it was like she was mentioned in one of my history classes, and I was just like, oh, this is like a real person.
Yeah,
Oh, and yeah. And if you're interested in knowing that story of Pocahontas, I will link you to the
it's
wiki.
sad.
Yeah, I will link you to the Wikipedia page because we aren't going into that.
We, my class, like my 4th or 5th grade class, we watched a movie that explained
Uh huh.
the actual history of Pocahontas, but in a child friendly way.
Okay.
So, that's how I found out about it.
Mm,
But I think my parents also kind of mentioned that they were, this was based on a real person. This isn't how it actually happened.
mm-hmm.
And they were like, we'll tell you when you're older. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
another retelling, a, which is not based on like a fairy tale or anything that I've liked,
mm-hmm.
is for people who are in like really deep in the anime
Mm-hmm.
history, you guys probably know World Masterpiece Theater.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did was they took a lot of hi Bowie. They took a lot of like older books and
Mm-hmm.
turned them into anime series.
Mm.
And one of the series that I remember loving, and my friend and I would talk about all the time, was a retelling of, basically a retelling of Daddy Longlegs, which is a book from like I think the early 1900s. Let me look.
Okay.
By Gene Webster
Okay.
is who originally wrote it. 1912. Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay.
And there was also a movie, like an old movie in like the 50s, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. 1955, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Starring Fred Astaire and Leslie Caron.
Okay.
Caron.
Okay.
Caron? Caron? She's a well-known actress. That's all I know.
Okay. Huh. I bet I should probably check those out because, like, honestly, like, I feel like I haven't heard of like the last two you mentioned, and like for some reason I'm like slipping, like my memory is slipping on, like the was it anime one? Oh God, I'm sorry. Like,
the Daddy Longlegs one?
yeah, I'm interested in that one. I'm definitely
Yes.
interested. Yeah, sorry
D-
if you can't tell, my memory is kind of bad right
yeah.
now.
It's okay. Okay, the story is definitely kind of
Hmm.
like the story of Daddy Longlegs is I feel kind of like problematic if it was released nowadays.
Oh, when was it released?
1912. That's why I'm saying that now it probably back then it felt romantic. Because basically what it is that this rich guy basically becomes a, what's the word I'm looking for? When you give money, when you are an endorser, I guess, or no, benefactor. That's the word.
Oh, okay.
To a 18-year-old orphan. And the only the only thing she has to do is write him letters about what's going on, and they end up, luckily several years later, fall in love.
Okay.
But there is a big age difference.
Okay. I mean, okay.
So like it's on that line where it's like it can be problematic, but at the same time he wasn't pursuing her when she was 18. Like he was being strictly like just the benefactor. He'd never had any contact with her, other than the letter she sent him.
Okay. I mean, I'll still check it out, and then. But...
No, it's a good story either way. But
okay,
I'm just more warning people in case they like that kind of thing triggers them.
Okay, yeah, it's always a good idea.
So we decided, because I've been doing a lot of reading, I have been having a lot of books that I've been recommending to people. So we thought, hey, in case you are a bookworm like I am, let me tell you of recommendations that I have in each episode. So, and maybe in the future, like I'll find some people who want to do a podcast with me of doing like a book club kind of thing where we discuss books we read.
Oh yeah.
Or a book we read, you know. And but for the first book that I highly recommend, it's called House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. It was published last year in April of 2021. And its genres fall into fantasy, horror, young adult, mystery, thriller, and paranormal. So it's a great book for the Halloween season. Okay. And I'm just reading the synopsis right off of Goodreads because I'm gonna spoil something by accident. Knowing me, because I get really excited. So 17-year-old Iris Hollow has always been strange. Something happened to her and her two older sisters when they were children. Something they can't quite remember, but that left each of them with identical half-moon scar on the base of their throats. Iris has spent most of her teenage years trying to avoid the weirdness that sticks to her like tar, but when her eldest sister Gray goes missing under suspicious circumstances, Iris learns just how weird her life can get. Horned men start shadowing her, a corpse falls out of her sister's ceiling, and ugly, impossible memories start to twist their way to the forefront of her mind. As Iris retraces Gray's lessons, steps, and follows the increasingly bizarre trail of breadcrumbs she left behind, it becomes apparent that the only way to save her sister is to decipher the mystery of what happened to them as children. The closer Iris gets to the truth, the closer she comes to understanding that the answer is dark and dangerous, and that Gray has been keeping a terrible secret from her for years.
Okay.
And a lot of it is based off of, a lot of the stuff they use is based loosely on Celtic lore of like fays and stuff like that. So it's a really good read, and it has some gross moments, but it was great. I loved it.
Like gross, like
not sexual, like horror related.
Oh, okay.
Like horror related gross.
Okay.
But not like, but so like decomposing corpse, some imagery about the area they're in.
Okay.
So I would have said if it was, I would have said at the end, warning if you are sensitive to A, B, or C. Okay. But I guess, yeah, if you have some sensitivity when it comes to talks about decomposing corpses, yeah, you're not gonna like this book.
Yeah, okay, that's actually good to know. Let's see. If you don't mind, I only have one book I can recommend, but
Okay.
mind you, I actually listened to it by through like
Audible.
Audible audiobook.
Mhm.
Um, and I think a lot of people are aware of it. It is called what is it? Sorry, I gotta pull it up in the library. I want to make sure I got the title correct.
Mm.
Oh my god, I have so many books in my Audible library. Oh, here it is. I'm Glad My Mom Died by
Oh
Jeanette
yeah, okay.
McCurdy. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Oh no. Well, no. It got out recently, and like
I already
honest,
forgot about it though.
yeah, it's actually really good, but it's also really triggering. So
Yeah, I definitely heard this is a super triggering book.
yeah, so that is only my only book recommendation that I actually have because and the only reason I'm giving out this book recommendation is actually because I actually listened to it. So but yeah, okay. But thank you for adding this new segment though in Phoenix. And
Yeah.
yeah, and if you do decide and find someone to do like a book club podcast with, like, let me know and then we could, like was it
Promote it.
yeah, promote it and stuff.
Yeah. I have another one I really want to recommend, but I'm gonna save that for next time.
Okay. Do we have a topic ready for next time or are we still trying to figure that out?
I'm gonna guess this is probably gonna come out in early, like late September, early October. So maybe we'll do something horror related next week or next time. Who knows?
Okay.
But that is one idea that I have that we probably will be able to do a horror related topic next time
Okay. Yeah.
to get into the spooky season or to run down from the spooky season.
Yeah, we'll figure out our schedules a bit because
Yeah,
I am, well, my trip's not for another couple weeks, so
and I'm pretty free for right now, so
yeah, no worries. We'll figure it out. We'll
well,
we'll eventually have a stable schedule.
again,
Yeah, one day.
someday soon my schedule will be okay.
But yeah, thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Like I said, I'm sorry it's just been inconsistent. We are trying to work on that a bit, and yeah. Um, if you haven't done so already, give us, subscribe, and if you want to suggest topics, you can email us, or you could, leave a comment below the video, and we'll take a look. And all of our social medias will be in the description below. So yeah. Do you have anything to add?
Nope. The only thing I do have to add is that I am going to be coming out with a video hopefully soon of review stuff I'm doing. So just
Ooh.
keep an eye out for that. I'll post it on my social medias once it does come out.
Okay.
Um, other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day.
Yeah. Hopefully see you next time.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.